First at 9 this Friday, the 14th of February 2025. Plugged in. CEB scraps further power cuts as Norochole is brought back online. Ultra Vires. Clause 2 and 3 of the Local Authorities Election Special Provisions Bill, in violation of the Constitution, determines the Supreme Court. High-stakes audit. US Ambassador visits SLPP headquarters. Pledges to audit US-aid projects in Sri Lanka.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lanka Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dino Sensurain, then Langamati Pharmacy in Labagata Hacker.
Kanta Parisang Karagatot? Api Parisang.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe, Vesat Matu together at Disney.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Drisingha joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Brought to you by the only Sri Lanka media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. Now, in your top story tonight, the Supreme Court has deemed unconstitutional certain clauses of the Local Authorities Election Special Provisions Bill. The relevant verdict was read by Speaker of Parliament Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne at the country's top legislature today. Meanwhile, the Parliament heated up today with MPs trading verbal blows over several issues grappling the nation at the moment.
The local authorities election, which was last scheduled to be held on the 9th of March 2023, was postponed on several occasions on grounds of a shortfall in provisions as declared by the then government. The Supreme Court, considering the fundamental rights petitions filed by several political parties, ordered on the 22nd of August 2024 that the local authorities election should be held subsequent to the presidential and parliamentary elections, without prejudice to those elections. Consequently, the Local Authorities Election Special Provisions Bill, cancelling nominations already made for the local authorities elections while simultaneously calling for new nominations, was presented to Parliament on the 9th of January. Four parties, including General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress President's Council Nizam Karyapar, filed petitions against the bill with the Supreme Court, claiming that certain clauses violate the Constitution. The Supreme Court informed subsequently that a confidential verdict will be delivered to the President and the Speaker of Parliament following the conclusion of the consideration of petitions on the 27th of January. Accordingly, Speaker of Parliament Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne convened the country's top legislature today to read the Supreme Court determination in the House.
I wish to announce that I have received the determination of the Supreme Court on the bill titled Local Authorities Elections Special Provisions, challenged in the Supreme Court under the Article 1211 of the Constitution, which had been heard before a bench of 3 judges. Accordingly, 2 judges constituting the majority of the bench had held that the bill read as a whole, and in particularly clause 2 and 3 is inconsistent with Article 12(1) of the Constitution and can be only passed with the special majority required under the paragraph 2 of Article 84. The remaining judge of the bench had held that the bill as a whole or any provision thereof is not inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution and may be enacted with a simple majority of Parliament. I order that the full determination of the Supreme Court be printed in official report of today's proceedings.
The advisory committee is set to convene today. It is important to ensure we receive copies of the Supreme Court determination prior to proceedings of the advisory committee, given that the printing process will take time. Will the advisory committee convene today?
Yes, it is set to convene at 2 p.m. today.
I would like to speak regarding the content of this determination.
Kindly wait till we commence debating on this matter at 2 p.m. on Monday. We are merely presenting the determination today.
I want to present a brief fact to Parliament.
Let's debate on this at 2 p.m. on Monday.
I urge the Speaker to listen to me. This case would have been dismissed within a day had the Attorney General's Department scrutinized this bill and provided the Cabinet with a report.
There is a separate debate on this matter.
I requested time. Why are you enraged? I would like to make a request to the Speaker. The Parliament did not convene to conduct the debate in a couple of minutes. Give us an opportunity to speak. The country is expecting solutions to these issues. Will power cuts continue? The subject minister is present today. What is the stance of the government? Attempts at political revenge are in full swing.
You addressed this legal matter, which is an important current affair. Let me speak. We have allocated time to debate on this matter. We request the Speaker to proceed according to the agenda. You can't just say anything calling it a point of order.
I request the subject minister to make a statement on the power cuts. The whole country anticipates news on possible power cuts this Sunday. Agendas for political revenge are underway. Chief secretaries and district secretaries have been transferred to a pool. Foreign investors are leaving the country. If the generated solar energy fails to meet the demand and if relevant factories do not function as expected, it may lead to a collapse. Make a statement in this regard. Blaming the power cuts on a monkey is not an answer.
Sri Lanka's interactions with US aid are being discussed at the global level. Namal Rajapaksa presented a letter to the Speaker requesting the appointment of a select committee to look into the matter. This does not look good on the government as the Prime Minister has also been implicated in the matter. Was such a select committee appointed? What measures will you take on this?
The necessary preparations to address this matter are underway.
We are now about to wrap up the parliamentary session. Do not panic. You will have adequate time to speak.
The risks of power cuts loom over us.
I request the Speaker to adjourn the Parliament until 10 a.m. on Monday, the 17th of February.
Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙත් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්. Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Don't waste time. Start your degree with pending A-level results this February with our partner universities. Call ACBT on 0117 699 499.
Now, meanwhile, the CEB claims that there will be no more daily power cuts from today onwards. The announcement comes hot off the heels of a 300-megawatt generator located at the Norachole power plant being reconnected to the national grid.
Consequent to a system imbalance in the national electricity grid, 3 generators of the Norachole coal power plant were declared out of commission, prompting an island-wide blackout on Sunday, the 9th of February. In a bid to reinstate sustainable power supply throughout the island, the Ceylon Electricity Board decided to impose scheduled power cuts for 1.5 hours on Monday and Tuesday. The power cuts were imposed over the CEB's inability to effectively manage demand. Considering the drop in electricity demand on Poya holidays, no power cuts were imposed on Wednesday. However, the CEB further imposed a scheduled 1-hour power cut yesterday in different zones under 4 categories between 5 and 9:30 p.m. According to reports, one of the 3 generators located at the Norachole coal power plant has now been reconnected to the national grid. The generator, which has the capacity to produce 300 megawatts of power, was reconnected to the grid off the back of swift efforts by officials to restore the generators. Subsequently, the Ministry of Energy announced that no more power cuts will be imposed from today onwards. Speaking on the matter, Minister of Energy Kumara Jaikodi claimed that the remaining generators will also be connected to the national grid in the near future. The minister also expressed his deep regret for the inconvenience caused to electricity consumers and further expressed his gratitude to people for understanding the situation and acting with patience during the difficult period. Minister of Energy Kumara Jaikodi further stated that as a responsible government, it has already taken the necessary steps to take short-term and long-term measures to prevent such a situation from reoccurring. In other news concerning the nationwide blackout, the Electricity Consumers Association lodged a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department yesterday, requesting an investigation into allegations concerning the absence of 3 engineers who were supposed to be on duty at the System Control Centre of the CEB when the island-wide power outage occurred last Sunday. Meanwhile, with the intention of inquiring the same matter, several MPs representing the Samagi Jana Balawegaya visited the System Control Centre of the Electricity Board in Battaramulla today.
The minister in charge claimed that a monkey caused the island-wide power cut. Anyone with common sense would not have believed it. The minister's inability to provide an explanation proves his incompetence. He has failed. He must resign. His office must be handed over to someone capable of running it. Officials of the System Control Centre revealed that they informed the relevant top authorities of several issues in the system control. They knew for 3 months that the system would collapse at some point on a Sunday. However, they took no action. We learnt that 8 recommendations were made to restore the system to an equilibrium. The engineers in charge of the system should implement those recommendations. The minister in charge of the subject and the board of directors under him must oversee the process. However, no action was taken. This is an embarrassment. This government directs accusations at various animals while failing to take decisions based on science and technical matters.
Now moving on to your budget-related updates, a preliminary discussion on the final phase of drafting the upcoming budget, which is scheduled to be presented to Parliament on the 17th of February, was held yesterday at the Presidential Secretariat. The discussion was held under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake. The discussion was attended by Minister of Agriculture, Livestock and Land and Irrigation, Dr. K.D. Lalkantha, Minister of Trade, Commerce, Food Security and Cooperative Development, Vasantha Samarasinghe, Minister of Labour and Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Dr. Anil Jayantha Fernando, Secretary to the President, Dr. Sanath Nandika Kumar Nayaka, Secretary to the Minister of Finance, Mahinda Sirivardhana, along with several senior government officials. Now, economist Thalal Rafi is of the view that Sri Lanka's fiscal deficit will be the most crucial aspect of the upcoming budget. With Sri Lanka only having a 3-year window to grow its economy before principal debt repayments are due in 2028, Rafi says that the government should focus on increasing capital expenditure, foreign direct investments and international trade.
Regarding the upcoming budget, the most important thing is the fiscal deficit because the rollover debt is too high. When you look at the gross financing needs, according to the latest IMF report, it comes to around 25% of GDP. Gross financing needs is the maturity that has to be paid for that year plus interest plus the fiscal deficit. So about 25% of GDP is due, so that amount has to be financed. That is more than what is due to the ISB holders and China put together. So bringing the fiscal deficit lower is absolutely important. To do that, as the IMF says, we need to keep to the target of 2.3% of primary budget surplus. The second thing is, in the budget, I would expect more expenditure on the capital side because a country is like a business. For it to grow, you need to invest. So investment comes in the form of capital expenditure. That is roads, digital infrastructure, education is a priority. On the other front, the government cannot fuel growth through capital expenditure alone. It needs foreign direct investment as well. To do this, we need ease of doing business and digitization. So I'm happy that the president is looking into these two fronts. And lastly, as Sri Lanka is in a crisis, we have a very fast closing window of just 3 years. In 2028, most of our repayments are due. So for that, we need to focus on tradable sectors to grow. This means exports have to be driven further. So incentives for export industries is a must, especially as we need to create a buffer as 2028 will require much of our foreign reserves if we don't have much of a current account surplus. So I would say the focus should be very much on the coming 3 years to focus on tradable sectors. So here again, trade facilitation, trade liberalization is a must. And overall ability to import and export should be done in a less restricted way.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
Diabetol සීනි වලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Singer 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නැහැ.
කිසිගින්නක් නැහැ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Derana, Sri Lanka's most trusted news source. Now, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, visited the headquarters of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today, where she held discussions with several representatives of the party. According to SLPP General Secretary Sagara Karyavasam, the US Ambassador had pledged to conduct an audit of the USAID projects conducted in Sri Lanka.
Ambassador of the United States to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, visited the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna headquarters on Lotus Road earlier this morning. It is reported that the US ambassador held discussions with several representatives of the SLPP, including National Organizer MP Namal Rajapaksa and General Secretary Sagara Karyawasam.
මේ සාකච්ඡාවේදී අපි විශේෂයෙන් මෙතුමියගෙන් විමසා සිටියා USAID ආයතනයේ
We inquired the ambassador about the recent accusations against USAID. She promised to conduct an audit to investigate the recent news reports and claims made by President Trump and his advisor Elon Musk.
කියන කාරණේ තමයි මෙතුමිය ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටියේ.
Now, representatives of the opposition parties convened a meeting in Colombo last evening, which saw the participation of former Presidents Ranil Wickremesinghe and Maithripala Sirisena. However, notably, the discussion did not see any representation from the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. A discussion between representatives of several opposition parties took place last evening in Colombo with the participation of former Presidents Ranil Wickremesinghe and Maithripala Sirisena. However, it was reported that the meeting did not see the participation of any politicians representing the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
සාකච්ඡා සාර්ථකයි. වඳුරු හිටියේ නෑ. ඒකම ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණේ නෑ. මේ මෛත්‍රීපාල මහත්තයත් ආවනේ. අය ඔබතුමාලගේ මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහත්තයත් ඇවිල්ලා ඒකට සාකච්ඡාවක් නේද? ඔක්කොම. මොකද යාළුවනාද? යාළුවනා ගොඩක්. මොකෝ සාකච්ඡා ඇත්තටම නෑ. සාර්ථකයිද? ගොඩක් හොඳයි. එක පක්ෂවල ආයේ මෙතන හිටියේ. ඉතින් මේ කවුරුත් මේ එකට එකතු වෙන වැඩ පිළිවෙලක් නෙමේ. මේක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි නිකන් සුවද අමුවත් කතාවක් තිබ්බා නේද වෙන එකක් නෑ. මොකද්ද මේ කරන්න හදන්නේ?
වැඩබැරි ආණ්ඩුවකට බලය යෑම නිසා රට මුහුණ පායති අනතුරු පිළිබඳ රාජ්‍ය පාලනය ගැන අත්දැකීම් තියෙන අය අතර සාකච්ඡාවක් විදිහට තමයි යන්නේ.
රජයක් විදියට ගන්න දේවල් ඒවා අසාර්ථකත්වය ඒ වගේ රජයේ මර්ධනකාරී පියවරයන් නොයෙකුත් ඒවට ඔවුන්ගේ කරන බලපෑම් ගැන ඒවා සඳහා අපි මොනවද අපේ පැත්තෙන් ගත යුතු ක්‍රියාමාර්ග කියලා. නීතිමය සහ දේශපාලන වශයෙන්.
Now, meanwhile, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya today appointed new district leaders for several districts. Notably, the Colombo district leadership was not awarded to MP Harsha De Silva, but will be held by opposition leader Sajid Premadasa. The appointment of Samagi Jana Balawegaya's new district leaders took place today at the opposition leader's office at the parliamentary complex. During the initial stage, leaders were appointed for the Colombo, Kurunegala, Puttalam, Matale, Kalutara, Gampaha, Anuradhapura, Galle, Monaragala and Trincomalee districts. Notably, Colombo district parliamentarian of the SJB, Dr. Harsha De Silva, one of the most senior members of the party, was not appointed as the Colombo district leader. Instead, SJB and opposition leader Sajid Premadasa will hold the position himself. No, I didn't. I have nothing to say. I am indifferent as to whether I receive it or not. I am the most senior MP representing the Colombo district. However, our leader decided to hold the Colombo district leadership himself in addition to being the national leader. I am not disappointed at all. I was not appointed to the relevant committee. What I know is that some discussions have taken place, but there is no indication of further talks. If Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sajid Premadasa are truly invested, this can happen. There are issues regarding certain individuals. I must be honest about that. We want to move forward with a pure group. There is no issue there. I know that you are looking for headlines. Why should he be disappointed? I recommended him as the Minister of Finance. Don't fabricate conflicts to generate headlines. I know it is your job. What conflict? The General Secretary is the Monaragala district leader and I am the Colombo district leader. What is the issue? We are in discussion with everyone. Do I look like I am unwilling? There is no such issue. It appears you are underpaid. I will inform your employer to rectify that. The Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasuriya has instructed the CID to probe allegations made against SLPP MP Namal Rajapaksa concerning examination misconduct allegedly committed by Rajapaksa when he sat for the final year examination of Sri Lanka Law College in 2010. The allegations were first brought to light by a candidate who sat for the same examination in 2010.
The Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya has instructed the Criminal Investigation Department today to probe allegations made against SLPP MP Namal Rajapaksa over examination misconduct allegedly committed by Rajapaksa when he faced the final year examination of the Sri Lanka Law College in 2010. Police media spokesperson Senior Superintendent of Police Buddhika Manatunga stated that the decision was taken consequent to a complaint received by the Acting Inspector General of Police in that regard. Parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa was sworn in as an attorney at law in 2011 after passing the bar exam in 2010. The allegations were first brought to light by another candidate who sat for the same examinations named Tushara Jayaratne, who presented a letter to the then Chief Justice Ashoka De Silva requesting a probe into the matter, considering that there is evidence that Namal Rajapaksa cheated during the exam.
Now, in the meantime, the Attorney General has filed indictments under the Money Laundering Act in Colombo High Court today against Yoshitha Rajapaksa, the second son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and Desi Forrest Wickramasinghe, the grand aunt of Yoshitha Rajapaksa. The Attorney General filed the indictments against them for failing to disclose the means through which land and property at Sirimalvatta Uyana in Ratmalana and Dehiwala were acquired in 2012 and 2015. According to estimates, the property is valued at over 80 million rupees. Yoshitha Rajapaksa was arrested on the 25th of January regarding the same matter, was later released on bail by the Colombo Magistrates Court. Russian ambassador to Sri Lanka, Levan Jagarian, says Sri Lanka should open discussions with member states of BRICS in a bid to obtain approval for Sri Lanka's entry into the organization. Meanwhile, commenting on the potential partnership between Russia and Sri Lanka on nuclear energy, the Russian ambassador lamented Sri Lanka's lack of enthusiasm on the project and added that Russia remains committed to cooperating with Sri Lanka in the field of energy.
I don't raise this issue anymore because I have raised it many times with many officials. No response. There was some exchange of views between a Russian Rosatom organization and Sri Lankan Research Center, and we have explained everything they should do your side to start negotiations. For example, you must join some international conventions of nuclear security, and this exchange of views can pave the way for the visit of the Russian delegation from Rosatom to Sri Lanka. But nothing happened since that time. We are the only country in the world who can be very helpful. We have many projects. We have in Turkey, Iran, India, Bangladesh. We will start in Myanmar. The only country which have enough experience and knowledge is the Russian Federation. And I think you need alternative sources of energy. Solar, wind, it's okay, but look what's going on in Europe. Coal and oil, not very reliable. In comparison with oil and coal, nuclear energy is much more productive, much more efficient. But it's up to you to decide. We don't impose our view on you. Decisions should be adopted voluntarily. We are ready.
What is the stage of the negotiation?
Zero, unfortunately.
Follow up to the brief question. You mentioned about application, all the member states must agree. Are there any states that object to Sri Lanka?
I have no information about it. I think that membership of Sri Lanka in BRICS would be very effective, very useful. Now the chair is Brazil. You can talk to Brazilian government. You can have discussions with all member states. You have friendly relations.
You mentioned about the invitation to our President Putin in Russia. What are the areas that you are hoping to work with the new government to expand our relation?
Last week I met Mr. Jayakodi, Minister of Energy. I presented our invitation to him, to other officials from energy sector to visit Russia in October. We will be conducting Russia Energy Week in Moscow. It will be the good opportunity to meet with high-ranking Russian officials in the field of energy, oil, coal, and so on. I will try to convince him to go to Moscow in October. We have other fields of cooperation with the new government. We need some time. Let's start from energy and education.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.